Welcome to HomeFront Siterep. I hope you're in for a great show today because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find HomeFront Siterep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront Siterep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a Monday edition of HomeFront Siterep. How is everybody doing? Mr. James, how are you, sir?
Man, what's kicking chicken? If I was any better, be two of me.
I hear you, brother. I hear you, man. How's your Monday been today, brother?
Long. I don't think
Yeah,
this day will ever damn end.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't think it'll ever end either. I was out working today out in beautiful LaGrange, Kentucky, playing in the dirt up there. Uh, wasn't a bad day. A little on the cold side this morning. Then it warmed up, and I was doing all right. So I can't
Yeah,
complain.
I called in sick today.
Nice. You played
Yeah.
hooky.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna call in the rest of the week. Well, might as well
Nice.
January too. Oh wait, yeah, February's not looking good either.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
I
What
might
about the
take
rest
all
of
of
your
next.
life?
Yeah, I might just take the next year off.
There you go. There you go. So you guys are, man, I tell you what, you guys are in for a special treat tonight, man. We got Mr. JayR McIntyre. He's going to be joining us. And let me tell you, his bio, man, I will tell you what, he is a U.S. Army veteran, Bronze Star recipient. He's a project management professional in business analysis, uh, motivational speaker, life coach, and the list just goes on. It's long and distinguished. So let's welcome to the stage Mr. JayR McIntyre. How are you, sir?
How you
What
doing?
up?
How you guys doing today? How you guys doing?
All right,
Man,
buddy.
we're doing great. How are you?
Good. I'm good.
How's the weather down in Venice, Florida?
Right now, it's about 69, 70, so it's good. Yeah, it's December,
Man,
so
see, that's perfect weather right there.
yeah.
Now, I love cold weather,
Mhm.
but if it's stupid hot like it does get in Florida and Kentucky here with humidity and everything, I'm not a big fan of. But if it could stay 70 degrees year round, no humidity, I'd be a happy man.
The perfect
But
weather.
it's one of those things. If you wait long enough in Kentucky, the weather will change quickly. So.
Damn. Yeah.
So welcome to the stage. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and like where you grew up, your military history, and let's go from there.
Well, from Long Beach, California, North Long Beach, born and raised. Um, was raised in California. Mother passed away when I was small of AIDS. I saw a lot of gangs, like I always talk about, a lot of drugs, a lot of like inner city activities that was going on in the city. End up going to the military after the towers fell in July 23rd, 2002. So I went a couple of months after the towers had fell. And I saw that and I thought it was a commercial. First of all, I was holding my daughter in my hands and I saw that and I was like, what is going on? And as the news reported what was going on around the world, I quickly said, that's for me. But I went through a lot of pitfalls growing up, jail stints and stuff like that. But my dad had me go into the military, and when I got in the military, and changed my whole perspective of life. And my first duty station, they sent me to Germany, and oh boy, I was a 20-year-old in Germany, sprechen Sie Deutsch, learning German, and having fun. And today was like, hey, our number got called, the big red one. It was time for us to suit up and go overseas and do what we was paid to do. So
Mhm.
I quickly learned, jump from boy to men, and learned on the fly. Um, them tours from '03, '04, '05, '06, '07 was totally different. I'll give respect to everybody who did Iraq, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and Enduring, because I did Enduring too. But them times were different, and we were the forefront that laid down the foundation of what is the youth now in the military. So it was pretty intense.
So you just said you laid the foundation for the up and coming military guys that are in now.
Yeah.
We've had several conversations over, the different podcasts that I've been involved with, and um, a lot of people seem to think that uh, the generation now, not your generation, not my generation, not James's generation, but the newer generation, the ones that are now in the military, a lot of people seem to think that they're becoming soft. And what I mean by that is, like, if a NCO tells them to do something, they're like, no, I'm not going to do that today.
Right.
Do you see that with the people that you still keep in contact with in the military?
I saw a lot of discipline being lost because of the parameters of how society is, right? So um, I remember we heard rumors of, when I was on my tail end, getting out of stress cards and stuff like that. So I heard that, and when I heard that, you quickly started to see the dynamics of the military starting to change. And like I said, I give my utmost praises to those who still serve, but a lot of good warriors got out, so they didn't have that training to teach them, because after our generation, a lot of us started to medical retire and get out. And because we've been through multiple deployments, we didn't have no more time in our minds to develop them young troops. We were developing them at the speed of fast. When I was there, guys were making E7 in 7 years.
Oh yeah.
So, and we were balls to the walls. Excuse my French. Deployment after deployment after deployment. So we were young leaders, and we had to understand at a young age and develop fast, because people were still passing away, people were still dying, people were still losing situations where we was not primed to win. So we had to develop fast. And then the newer soldiers that were coming in, we were on our way out. I retired in 2016. So after that, and no more deployments, all you have is garrison teaching them certain situations. So how much really can you learn in garrison, but how to march and the candor and the
Right.
cars and all that stuff. But combat, you really don't learn a lot during garrison.
No, I agree with you. So I was in from 97 to '01. I got out in August, right before 9/11 happened. So I was on terminal leave. My EAS was technically September 1st. 9/11 happened. And then about 2 weeks later, I got the Western Union. Please report back to Camp Lejeune for combat refresher training. I was like, well, I don't need much combat refresher training. I just got out because I was infantry. I was 0311 in the Marine Corps, and then went did my other things as well. And it's just like we get back to Lejeune, and they put us with a mobilization support battalion. I had a gunny that was a reservist from Louisiana. I forget what part of Louisiana, but they put us all together at, hodgepodge MSB, a mobilization support battalion is what they called us. And they're like, well, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. And finally I was talking with a career planner, because I wanted to re-enlist for what I had left on my contract. That's one of the reasons why I joined the Marine Corps, is to protect my country. And at that time, here we are. Our country had been attacked, and seeing the videos and stuff from there, from New York and across the country, as Americans, we came together. No matter what color your skin was, we were Americans and we were going to take care of our country. And now it seems like that mentality has dissipated,
Yeah.
over the years. And I don't know what to blame or who's to blame for that. Um, yeah, I don't know who's to blame for that. But my nephew, he's in the army right now down in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and I know how he was raised, but to see how he is down there, it's just like, bro, how are you making it work? Because he's got that entitled mentality
Mhm.
that that everything should be just given to him.
Right.
And it's just like, bro, you need to grow up, man up, and deal with it.
Right.
And and Rich LaMonica, Misfit Nation, he trains soldiers every day down there in Fort Campbell, and he's like, dude, you just don't even realize how entitled the younger generation is.
Well, you
So
said it all. You said who's at fault? We are. We are. We as a society, we're at fault
yeah,
because when we started letting the politicians dictate how our children behaved instead of us dictating how our children behaved, then that entitlement come in, that whole woke society, all that crap. We are responsible. We
Right.
allowed it to start at the top, and no, and we did not band enough together to stop it. And it has nothing to do with politics as far as who's on the right side, who's on the wrong side. We as a society, in my opinion, are the cause of this. Our generation allowed those knuckleheads to dictate how these children can think and act versus the way we wanted them to.
Also,
My
too, I would
opinion.
add to that caveat is too, when I was getting out, they were forcing a lot of people out, and a lot of the good guys left, and then a lot of, excuse my French, a lot of the shitbags stayed. So when they stayed, they were able to get rank and try to infiltrate these soldiers to the way they were not feeling towards the good guys in the military. There were a lot of guys and women that were not par in the military, but when we got out, they got promoted and they started to lead these troops and they started
yeah,
to affect these troops with their feelings and how they were and their emotions. And okay, we all got emotions because we were taught, hey, if you hit the ground, get up and keep going.
yeah,
But to be tough is, hey, something is wrong with me, but still do your job. Like I
yeah,
see kids now in school fighting teachers. When I was growing, you didn't hear that. You didn't
no,
hear kids fighting, knocking out teachers, talking about it. You didn't hear the teachers sleeping with the kid. Like I don't know what's going on, but somewhere we lost in that society where we can manipulate them and talk to them and say, hey, education is cool. This is fighting for your country is cool. These are the certain things that we need to implement because even from my background, looking at in academia, the degrees are getting softer too, to a point to where you're gonna let anybody in, go back to the military. They when the war kicked off, they went. Where did they go get these troops? First of all, I know in my area they came to the urban areas and they gave us ultimatums: either you go to jail or you go into the military. And eighty
yeah,
percent of them was like, we're going to the military. But guess what? 80% of them were also the guys that we promoted to E7 first sergeant with hard chargers. They didn't
yeah,
take no for an answer, and they defended this country with that right flag on their shoulder. So, and that's the era I come from, '02 to 2016. We were we would three-peat I did Iraq 3 times in like 4 years, 4 or 5
yeah,
years. So I was like the Lakers back-to-back champion. We was 03, 04, 05, 04, 05, and 06, 08. And that was a 15-month deployment. Where do they do that at? We did a 15-month deployment where they was like, hey, you guys are about to leave. And then they came to the plane was like, no, y'all staying. Like,
yeah,
so we have situations like that where made us tough. And I believe the era before 9/11, they had it good too because nobody was deploying back and forth nowhere. You had Bosnia, right? But you had Desert Storm, but you didn't have a lot of conflicts. Like we were 20 years in Iraq and Afghanistan. 20
yeah,
years. Think about it. 20 years you were there doing a job that they said it was going to take what 1 year, less than 1 year. But
yeah,
when we got there, all the protocols, all the TTPs changed. I remember when we drove from Kuwait to Iraq, we had sandbags at our feet. Now think about it. Driving on MSR Tampa with sandbags at your feet, looking or driving by IEDs. You know what's going to happen to them 11. They wasn't 11-14s at the time. So now you think about it now, how they equip themselves. They got better equipment, but the morale is different. Nobody parties in the barracks. Nobody hangs out with each other. No more cohesion. No nothing. Everybody's out for themselves. You know.
Yeah. So that's like when we deployed. So Marines deploy a little bit different than the Army does. So we do 6-month deployments. But during that, before that, we do our workup. So like we'd be in the field for 11 days, come back, we'd be in the rear for 2 days, and then we'd go back out for 7 days. And we did that constantly. And what that did for us was help us bond together because
Right.
we're out in the woods, we're digging fighting hose, we're land nav, and we're doing this, we're doing that,
Right.
and we're building that confidence that my brother to my right, my brother to my left, if we got in the shit, they were going to, we were going to have each other's backs.
Right.
And uh, I think now with the military, just seeing some of the things that I've seen, like down in North Carolina here recently, a Marine shot another Marine. And it was like, dude, that shit would have never happened when I was in.
Right.
And it's just like, why would you do that? It's just, it just don't make no sense. So, uh, yeah, this generation, I just don't know what we need to do, and I think it's kind of like, all right, so you had Vietnam vets, you had, after they came home, the newer generation came in, kind of got a little bit soft, and then, I say kind of a little bit, just a little different than Vietnam vets, and then the next conflict happened, and then. Got soft again, and then it just, I think it's an endless cycle where we go through, where the military, they get more lackadaisical on who they let come in,
Right.
and they lax the standards, and every Tom, Dick, and Harry can get in, uh, but like with the Marines, they're still very selective, but not everybody's applying. That's why the military is, the quota numbers are here, and they're getting this many people coming in. So
Didn't they
it's,
just raise the age group too?
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
43. I think they letting people go in at 43 and come back in. And I believe that us that was in before and we still can talk about it and still look relevant, they need to let us start talking to these soldiers, doing like I'm motivational speak. So I would love, and I'm talking to a bunch of sergeant majors now to go talk to ACAP soldiers that are getting out, and let them know, hey, we're painting a certain type of picture here, but this would it look like now. And
Yeah.
hear from people who really been doing that. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got a lot of guys that are silver stars, purple hearts, bronze star. Like, bring them guys back to the forefront and let them talk to these soldiers and see this is what it looks like. And if you don't want to do this, you know what I'm saying? You're making the country look bad. Go sit somewhere else. Because when we
Yeah.
put on our suit, we were squared away. No matter what, we were squared away. You see me with the Long Beach hat on right now, but when I was in the military, it was all squared away. We did what we had to do for our job, and then when we were off, we were off.
Oh yeah. It's with the Marines. If I was in uniform, it was locked and cocked. If I was in civvy clothes, I still had that to maintain that professional level, because I still represented, even though I wasn't in uniform at the time, I still represented the Marine Corps. So if I was out in Jacksonville and Shitville, USA, I had to make sure that I did everything I was supposed to do, because if I gave my command a black eye, I was going to hear about it. I was going to get, thrashed or whatever. And nowadays, man, I just don't think that that sense of fearness of your command is out there anymore. So,
It's
uh,
not. You can see it too.
oh yeah. So you said you're a motivational speaker. So when you go to schools and all these different areas that you go into, uh, kind of what do you talk about when you're doing your motivational speaking?
Well, I have a capability statement, and but my platform is huge, so I could drop down and talk to everybody, anybody about what's going on in the neighborhoods, drug situation, gangs. I could talk about suicide awareness. I could talk about PTSD, TBI. I could talk about inpatient because I was an inpatient for about 70 days. I could talk about combat situations. I could talk about work-life balance, how to transition from understanding who you are. Because a lot of these good warriors, once they got out, they stayed still. You know what I'm saying? And they video games took over, and they didn't want to do anything, and they felt like they couldn't contribute no more, which we still can. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people still have eyes on. You know, the
Yeah.
flagpole is still standing, so we have to be able to go around. And when I talk from the standpoint of understanding everything, like as a whole, as what I did, even entrepreneurship. Like I started businesses, I failed a business, I went bankrupt. So how do you talk to a veteran that's dealing with PTSD that failed in business? It connects, and it almost derailed me. But now I know how to talk to certain veterans. Like, hey, before you get on this train of entrepreneurship and saying, I don't want to show, I show up when I want to, I make my money, nobody can tell me what to do. Think about failing. Think about when you get to a point to where you can't cross
Yeah.
that path. Who do
Yeah.
you reach out to? Who do you go to? How do you understand that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of veterans, when they get out of the military, you kind of hit it on the head. They get that stagnant. They get out of the military and they're like, "Well, I was forced to do this for this long. Now I'm just going to do this."
Yeah,
And like you said, they're playing video games or doing this or doing that. They don't really have a plan when they get out. And what happens is out of minds and veterans, it doesn't mix, and the demons start creeping in. Then they turn to alcohol or drugs, and then we know that everybody says it's 22-day, but it's more like 40 because you got to think of the ones that are not reported as
right,
veteran suicide, and
right,
and that for me. When I got out of the military, I went straight to work. I found a job within, when I got out in 2004, I had a job within like 30 days. I already had a job ready to go. And then in 2005, I went to college. I was going to college. I got a degree in criminal justice, and I stayed busy, and I still to this day, if I'm not doing my normal day job, I'm doing a podcast, or I'm out volunteering in my community, helping veterans, demo homes and rebuild them, or um, right now, me and James, we're in the process of helping a veteran family here in locally to us that he's a Army veteran, retired. He just took in three nephews and a niece, and he's struggling to make ends meet when it comes to Christmas and stuff like this. Now these kids are 10, 8. There's two, so 10, one's 10, the oldest boy's 10, then you got two that are 8 years old, they're twin boys, and then the niece is a 1.5 year old, so she's very, very young. And we put a post out there and said, "Hey, we're looking to help a family in need this Christmas." And the sister-in-law reached out to us, and now we're getting these people together, and we're going to go, buy Christmas gifts for these people, and then we're going to show up a couple days before Christmas and hand deliver them to them. So
that's nice.
uh,
I love that.
you just got to stay busy.
Mhm. And but a lot of these a lot of us, like even done, that's military retired, that's collecting a disability check. Like when we get out, the military programs you to say that's what you can live on, and that's it. And a
Yeah,
lot of us get stuck and say, okay, we're so we are so disgruntled with the military at times that we're getting out. We don't want to do anything. I'm not going to work for a year. I'm not. Then it turns to 2 years, and you're living off whatever your disability payment is.
yeah,
But in actual reality, get out, take a year or so, heal, and then go find something that you could contribute in and be productive at. So now you have your, it was never meant for us to live off that disability or that retirement check. 20-year retirement, if you're not done living your life, go get something else, but take some time off and check your mental, relax, and then get back to work. And that's how that's supposed to work. But like 90% of the veterans, they get out and they say, that's it. Oh, and they stubborn. You don't want to talk to them. And I go around and I talk to a lot of veterans. I about 26 veterans I put into Kaiser University, um, helped them get their disability. They stayed with me in Florida. But everyone stayed for a month. The longest two people stayed was 6 months. Helped them get back on their feet. I did that, and then put them back to work for my company that went bankrupt. But I was helping them with income. Like, hey, this
right,
is what you're supposed to do as a veteran. But In a caveat with that, I had to understand too, like not all veterans are good veterans. They need
Yeah.
help. So if you hire them to do a job and they get frustrated, that PTSD kicks in and you see a totally different person. And that's
Yeah.
what I dealt with on a lot of day-to-day basis was hiring people that were good, that's struggling to get right and still not healthy.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, the anxiety, the PTS, that is hard on veterans. I know for me, like, I'm very orientated when it comes to certain things. Like, if I tell my wife and kids that, "Hey, on Sunday, we're going to church, we're leaving at 11:45 or 10:45," and we don't leave at exactly 10:45, that triggers me, and it's just like, "Bro, that's one of my triggers, and you constantly, uh, are never ready to go." And of course,
Right.
everybody says you're waiting on a woman because I got 2 daughters and my wife, and I'm constantly, waiting on them to be ready to get stuff done, and, um, when I have when I formulate what I need to do in my head, like, if I miss a time frame, I'm already feeling like, "Oh, I'm running behind." So my
Right.
anxiety kicks in, and it's just like, and I'm a totally different person, and the bad thing is I know that I do that, and sometimes I catch myself, but sometimes I don't.
Right.
And, like, last night, I was down doing a podcast, or we hadn't started the podcast yet. I think it was, like, 6:45, and we were starting at 7 like we did this one, and, my daughters were coming down the steps, and, um, she accidentally hit the switch, and it turned everything off, like, it went completely dark down here, and I'm sitting here talking with people, and, I freak out. I'm like, "What the hell? What are you doing?" And I yelled at her, and then after I got off the podcast, I had to go upstairs and apologize for being a dick and, being extra, because I mean, I really did. I I was bad. I was like, "Man." So,
Mm.
but, I catch myself.
Right.
Uh, and a lot of veterans out there, they, uh, sometimes they don't, and then, they use I'm gonna use James here, my brother up here. James was in, Somalia during, the Mogadishu Mile.
Okay.
When he got out, he got cancer. His mom had cancer. His dad had cancer,
Wow.
At the
and
same
then
time.
at
At
the
the
same
same
time,
time. Wow. I'm sorry.
and then he lost a daughter.
Oh wow.
So James started drinking pretty heavily. And a lot of veterans do that. They self-medicate, and, luckily, James had some people in his corner to help him pull through what he was going through, and then he finally pulled his how do you pull say it, James?
I pulled my own head out of my own ass.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So, when it comes to, veterans out there, they just have to realize that there are people out there like you, like James, like myself, and the numerous other people out there that are willing to help. All they got to do is reach out to you, reach out to me, James, whoever, and there's people that's going to help.
And see, one of the things that I do is of course, I'm an ambassador for Warrior Rounds, which is a nonprofit out of Nashville. And while I was out doing this, I realized, or we found out, that by me telling my story was really beneficial for a lot of people that was
Right.
hearing it.
Right.
So now I go out and I do these shows and I represent Warrior Rounds, but then I get to talk about my story. And you wouldn't believe the impact. I didn't believe the impact the first couple times. Here I'm up there talking in front of people and I got tears and snot rolling and all kinds of stuff. And then I realized, hey, they got tears and snot rolling too. So something's working. So next year I've got several shows that they're already booking for me to come up and talk to a couple hundred people at a time, different veteran organizations, stuff like that. Just so I don't know.
I would love to do that with you too, because that's what I'm all about is like coaching, mentoring everybody around us. Like until you heal, you can't go heal nobody else. So
You're absolutely right.
when I went down, um, I got put in the hospital for a 12-day, a 30-day, and a 52-day inpatient. So I learned a lot of modalities. One of the last ones I learned was icon therapy with the horses, and that horse didn't mess with me for a good week. And I knew that I had demons in me that I needed to get in check. They're not leaving, but they need to get in check. And that last day, it brought tears to my eyes because that horse didn't want nothing to do with me because I was faking the front. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, and telling the right things that the therapist and the psychologist needed to hear. But that horse was like, "Nah, you not." And he wouldn't even let me drag him, touch him, be around him. He probably would have killed me if they wasn't around trying to hold him back because I was bringing that energy. So
Absolutely.
my message to veterans is, and James, I would love like offline if to talk to you and travel with you and go because that's my passion. Is not only do I motivate, I inspire, I coach and teach, and it's coming from a good place because I have healed. I've
Yeah.
been through places where yeah, I'm healed, but you're not healed because you're still carrying this. You can always carry your brothers and your sisters because of what you have done, but you need to talk from a standpoint of that you're healed. Now you could go develop these soldiers and these military men and women and let them know that this is the type of love that you need to see. And that's
Yeah.
why I'm campaigning to go talk to military installations and talk to ACAP, people that are 30, 60, 90 days out, and let them know these stories and talk from the standpoint, I didn't hear it. This is how I feel. This is what I went through.
Yep.
And to touch on, hey, you know what? If you do want to get out, first heal, go get help, take a year off, develop what you want, find your passion and your gift in a job, but also stay true to who you are, especially those who have families. I didn't know that my kids were affected by my deployments and my PTSD. So when I joined, my daughter was 2. My second deployment, my son was born. My last deployment, my youngest was born. So my daughter experienced all of them coming back, me reintroducing, this is daddy, this is who I am. My son, when I came, he didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
So he cried every night. Me and him laying next to his mom, he cried every night, like, who is this guy? So I had to really introduce myself, but take care of them little things first, and then go attach yourself to these military men and women and try to help them and relate to them. Like I can't relate to everybody, but I can relate to one out of 1,000. So
Yeah.
people, somebody's going to like it and somebody's going to love it, but that's not my job to figure it out. Just go tell a message.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And to help Dave out, Willis there, every now and then he gets a little confused on my timelines, but I come home from Somalia, and of course that was a 17-hour firefight. It's the longest, bloodiest battle the United States has been in since Vietnam. I come home from that, I buried a child, and I went through my first major divorce in 16 months. Yeah, welcome home, right?
Welcome home,
So
man.
I just started, I was pounding the booze, and I got myself straight there for a little while in order to get custody of my other 2 children. I got custody of them. We hauled ass to Georgia. I raised them down there, still hitting the booze. Hell, I was a police officer for a while, hitting the booze. I come home, same shit, man. I was working 60, 65 hours a week, had 2 kids at home, got sick, wound up with leukemia. Mom had cancer, dad had cancer, now I got cancer.
Mm,
So then I adopted my children's half brother while I was sick. And there's only one reason I'm still here today. It's because the Lord's not done with me. I haven't figured out what He wants, but He's not done with me. So I pulled my head out of my ass, and with the help of Willis and a lot of our other VSO friends in the area, I've been able to go out and tell my story, and it's pretty impactful
right,
to say the least.
right. It's amazing, man. I appreciate you for your service and many of a lot of our leaders like yourself have them stories that need to be told because people look at us strangely like we ain't been through no things and like we still we supposed to be going through certain situations but not knowing that not only did you have mom, your dad, you went through a divorce. That's hard because you fight to come home to these people and these people don't even want you no more or their timing. We think time stops when we deploy and it doesn't, and it
It
keeps
don't. Yeah.
going. And when we get back, it's like,
We playing catch up.
yeah. And I believe my whole life, every time got back, I was playing catch up. But what happened with my life was when I sat still too long, it was like, oh, you need to get out of here. You need to deploy. So if I was in the States too long, a year and a half, I'm leaving. I
Mhm.
went to Korea twice. I went to Germany 3 times. Like I'm out of here. Like I can't sit here. I need a story. I need to go
Yeah.
do something. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I was the same way. Uh, like, now I got married when I was in the Marine Corps. She had a young son, and we dated for a year and a half. Now, during that year and a half that we dated, I was gone probably 7, 8 months of that year and a half because I was always doing, deployments here. And then we got married October of '99, and I brought her home to Kentucky for the family to meet her in November. And then we went back, and December 1st, I went to California. I was gone for 30 days. Came back to Lejeune on the advanced party. Didn't tell her what I was doing. I came back on the advanced party. I was going to surprise her. Got back to base, drove out to the house, and I pulled on the street, and I got that gut feeling. Y'all know about that gut feeling. I was like,
Mhm.
man, something's not right. I pulled up to the house, went inside, and heard music playing in the back room. Walked down the hallway. Sure enough, I caught her in bed with another guy, and I turned around and I walked back out of the house, got in my car, went up to my best friend's house up the street, and knocked on the door. His wife Belinda answered, and she goes, "David, I got to tell you something." I said, "No." I said, "I just caught her. I know she's cheating on me." Yeah, and she said, "Yeah, she's been cheating on you the whole time." I was like, and then I went down a rabbit hole. That's when I started drinking a fifth of whiskey a night. Still in the Marine Corps. Went down a rabbit hole, and it finally got to the point where my command was like, "Hey, you need to get help, and we're going to help you." They didn't try to railroad me. I had a really good command, so they took me to detox. I spent 60 days in the hospital in detox. Uh, After that, I came back out and went back to command, and the whole time we're still married, but I'm living on base. I get out of the Marine Corps, still married to her. Never did file for divorce or whatnot. Still married to her, and then got back to Kentucky, and then I filed the paperwork and haven't looked back. And I thank God every day that he put me through those trials and tribulations early in my life. That
Right.
way I don't have to deal with them now. And
Right.
now I could do what my purpose is, and that's helping my brothers and sisters get the word out and help them any way I can. And that's like finding what you do. You're a motivational speaker. You go talk to veterans around the country.
Right.
Uh, a lot of these VSOs that we bring on, like the Hope Project down in Florida, nobody knows, up here, nobody knew about the Hope Project. So, here I am bringing the organizations from around the country on, so veterans in Chicago can find out about the Hope Project down in Florida, who's rescuing horses and then in turn doing equine therapy for veterans and their families.
Hmm.
And you kind of hit that on the head while ago when you said that families have PTS as well when it comes to the deployments and stuff because um, families do. They might not have the level of PTS that you or I or James has, but they have the PTS of wondering, um, if is Daddy going to make it home from this deployment?
Right.
When's he coming home?
Right.
I was talking earlier today at one of the jobs I was at. The Had a Marine Corps flag up, and I asked the guy, I said, "Who's the Marine?" He said, "My son's the Marine." And then he started crying as we were talking. I was like, "Man, you okay?" He goes, "Man," he said, "it brings back some tears." He said, "Because my son, when he got deployed overseas, I had just lost my other son 6 months before. So now I'm worried that my kid's not going to make it home."
Wow.
And people don't realize that moms and dads, uh, wives, kids,
It's hard.
Brothers,
they
sisters.
Mhm. It's
yeah,
hard.
they all
Yeah.
go through it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I remember too, like that first deployment. It wasn't like it is now, like where you had communication. First of all, we was talking on Yahoo Messenger, and we had
yeah,
30 minutes to use the internet. And sometimes the internet worked, and sometimes it didn't work. So we would have
yeah,
to stand in lines for hours on hours and use our time. And the conversations you heard of people online and on the phone tent and talking to their family, it was like it scared me from getting married because I was like, I'm talking about as a private, I saw people breaking up left and right in the phone tent
Yep.
in Kuwait. And I'm like, and I'm young, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? And then I hear stories, and then you start putting them together, and it's like, wait a minute, we over here fighting for our country, and life is still life, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
if people don't care, like you come home or not. And then once I got into that development mode that only my core people, like my father, my
Yeah.
grandmother, my sister, my kid, like these people really care. Everybody else, like they welcoming you when you get back, but they got to keep doing it. And I remembered that quickly because I used to come back and think that everybody was happy to see me and everybody would pull up and come hang out with me. I come to California and people got to work every day, so it's like, all right, we see you on the weekend, but other than that, or we see you at church, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So but I give a big shout out to our families that really endured that. I'm a single father, so my kids went through that and their mothers, and it was hard for them. And I give it up to the strong women that stay around because when we come back, we're not the same.
Yeah.
Now,
We're not.
especially the ones that's outside that wire,
Yeah.
that's a different type of feeling because it's like you're numb to a lot of issues.
Yeah.
Sometimes you come back, you don't even know how to kiss your spouse. Like, what is going on? you know?
Yeah. My wife tells me that. Yeah, my wife tells me all the time that I'm not. She loves me. She tells me she loves me, but when it comes to like buying Christmas gifts and doing things for the family aspect of it, she says a lot of times that if she was a veteran, that I would care more about her than what I do now, because I'm more passionate about helping veterans than I am kind of taking care of my own wife and kids sometimes. And I've always been that way, even kind of, well, I can't say, ever since I got out of the military, I've never been the one to go out and think, oh, I need to get a Christmas gift or I need to get a anniversary gift or,
Right.
something of that nature. And my wife, I love her to death, but she's very, OCD when it comes to certain things, when it comes to like buying gifts and stuff like that. So it's kind of hard to, surprise her because if I buy something, she's like, well, what'd you spend this money on? And
Right.
it's like, babe, I'm getting you a surprise gift. And she goes,
Right.
no, I don't want to be surprised. So
Right.
it's just like, so, but yeah, like you said, when we go overseas and we see the things that we see, uh, and we come home, we're not the same person as when we left.
No.
And each deployment's different.
Yeah.
Um, so, like, for example, we were down in Haiti, and this was in 98, I believe it was, and, we were there for 4 months, and we were the QRF down there, and, we would be driving through the market, and people who've watched this before, um, have has heard me tell this story is we were driving through the market in the Humvees, and I was up in a turret, and, I seen a guy get drugged behind a vehicle with comm wire wrapped around his neck, couldn't do anything. I seen 3 or 4 bodies on the ground with tires on top of them burning, couldn't do anything. We had guys come up to the front gate with their hands chopped off, couldn't do anything. And we were told, "You can't interfere because that's their culture, um, there, so you can't interfere." Well, here I am, 18 years old and seeing this. Never been out of Kentucky, other than, going to boot camp in South Carolina, and then now here I am in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and seeing this.
Right.
I've never been the same since,
Right. You don't.
and
You
it's
don't come back. You don't come back the same. You don't. And
yeah,
I remember my second deployment of saying, okay, I don't want to lose that little boy. I was happy. I used to smile in pictures, and quickly I developed that superhero mentality. I had to create my alter ego, and that alter ego turned into tactical JR. When you get on this plane, you leave JR behind. You got to protect him. Put on that suit and go do what you got to do. Turn them emotions off. If you call back home and nobody answers, it is what it is because you got to go on a mission the next day or the next hour or the next couple of weeks. So you got to stay focused. So I
yeah,
learned that at a young age, and I started to teach the people around me that it's called a superhero mentality. That's why they had alter egos. Bruce Wayne, Batman, Clark, Superman. Like Clark did certain things that Superman couldn't do, but sometimes he couldn't even interfere because he didn't want to show his identity. Spider-Man,
Right.
Peter Parker. So once I started to see that, I was like, okay, I'm going to leave JR here, put on tactical JR, do my job for 13, 15 months and get back home. So, but when I got home, I still was sometimes it was a lot of times it was hard for me to pick up emotions like feeling, touching, holding, smiling, being happy, being present, being in the moment because I was always on alert, like what's going on, and watching everything. And then my crazy self went off and learned executive protection, how to be a bodyguard, and went to school for that. Then went and did Whips One, and then became a security contractor. Then after that, a bodyguard. Still putting my mind in them situations, but also learning soft skills and learning how to psychological profile, which I learned in the military on a civilian way. That okay, you can use that energy. You could do it in this way, and then
Right.
after that, I started to level out like, okay, which one do you want to be? Do you want to stay JR in the States or you want to do both? Which one, So
Yeah. Yeah. So you went to college,
yeah.
you got several degrees, you have a doctorate. Let's see, you got
And
a
I'm working on my doctorate. I have associates in sports medicine, a bachelor's in sports medicine, a master's in business, and working on my doctorate and tons of certifications. And that's what Kaiser right there. And I will tell veterans that if you don't know what to do when you get out, as soon as I got out, I started school in 2017. I'll be done with my doctorate in 2027. So that's 10 years of full-time student, figuring out who you are, trying to do entrepreneurship, winning, losing, and then now you have this intersection when you're here now and say, okay, this is what God want me to do. Motivational speak, talk to these people and understand, and talk to a standpoint of, okay, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I got out, but I knew I wanted to do something. And education wasn't my pet peeve, but I know that was going to get me into a lot of doors I couldn't get myself in.
Yeah, definitely. Uh, James, was that Charlie in the background growling at you?
Mm-mm.
I
No,
have I have a little one right here too.
oh,
No,
okay.
Yeah.
Charlie's actually behaving tonight.
Nice. No, I heard a dog growl. I was like, wait a minute, that's not my dogs.
That's my little one, Mega. I think he's
Awesome.
snoring. He laying next to he was snoring.
Oh, he was snoring. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. No, man. Yeah, dude. I love what what you were doing down there. And if we have an opportunity to get you up here to hang out with James and
We'll
go
love it.
see, and let's make that happen. I would love that. I'd love to meet you in person.
Definitely.
I will be in Florida New Year's actually. I'm
Okay.
coming down to St. Augustine. I know you're probably a little bit away from there.
Yeah.
You're close. You're closer to Tampa Bay, right?
Yeah, I'm an hour away from Tampa. I was living right outside of Tampa, but after the bankruptcy, I got away. I needed to go find my time, find my peace, understand who I was, and heal.
I gotcha. So, my youngest daughter is a sophomore in high school. When
Okay.
she graduates, the wife and I will be moving down to Tampa Bay area,
Okay.
probably around Odessa somewhere. I'm not
Okay.
really for sure exactly where, but we're gonna be down. We're gonna be down there somewhere. We got some friends that live in Tampa right now, and we'll be definitely heading down that way. So we'll have to get together when I get down there and
Definitely.
hang out. Now, there's organization down in Florida called Hero Strong. I don't know if you've checked into them or seen them guys.
I have
Um,
seen that before. Yes.
yeah, David Rubin, what he does is he's not a veteran,
Mhm.
um, but he supports veterans, first responders, military or educators, medical professionals, anybody who he considered as a hero, firefighters. That's what he focuses on. And if you ever met this guy or talked to him in person, uh, man, his uh, enthusiasm, he's just like he's one of those guys that just come in and lights up the room when he comes in, and he's doing some amazing things in there. I like to get you two connected together. Maybe you can come speak at one of his events down there. I think he
I would
lives
love
in, is it Strongwood, Florida? Is that what it's called, or somewhere down in that area
What's
down
his
there?
name again?
David Rubin.
David Rubin. If you
Yeah.
listening, let me know, man. I'll come out and and speak and collaborate and work to save these veterans. We can do more, and I believe that this is how we're going to do it. And that's why I reached out to you guys, because I observed, I watched, and I see that the channel and the networks that you guys have, and it's a lot of veterans out there that's not really telling the accurate story. So I
Yeah.
like what you guys are doing.
Well, thank you. We definitely try to get that information out there with the different veteran service organizations from around the country, business owners as yourself, or Cover Sunscreen out in California. They're the Active Life company. They do Cover Sunscreen, which is a military grade sunscreen. And then we've had Matthias Carter from Chicago, Illinois, who's an Army veteran slash author. He wrote a book called Instead of Sheep, A Soldier's Way of Explaining PTS to His Son. And that's what we do. And if I can help you get your story out there so people, look into you and see what you're doing and how you could help them, then I'm down for it. That's what we're here for. So
Definitely. And that's my dream too, is to put together like a conference that goes from base to base, military, Navy, Army. We probably do Army 1 year, Navy 1 year, and do them all and go around and a bunch of speakers and headline these tours and talk to these military men and women and let them know what it is, what it looks like, and what to expect too. And that's about it. And get people motivated to stay in, or when you get out, be a good person.
oh yeah, definitely. And man, I tell you, there's a lot of organizations out there, like Kentucky Valor, Indiana Vets, Mission Wisconsin. What those guys do. So like when I got out in 2004, my job skills did not equate to or equal to the civilian sector. But as of was it 2018, there was a law passed. If you were telecommunications in the Army, then when you got out, your 10 years of telecommunications now transfers over to the civilian sector.
Mm.
And they actually travel the country and go to different bases and talk to service members that are getting ready to get out. And they're like, hey, look, if you come here to Kentucky or Indiana or Wisconsin or what other state, we can help you build a resume, get you a job, doing the same thing that you're doing in the military, but instead of starting out at ground level, we're going to start you out up here or get you up here where you're making, instead of baseline pay, you're making up here management pay. So,
Yeah.
I love it. I just love the whole idea of, going around and speaking to transitioning military service members. I think that would be super cool idea. I definitely do. So.
That's nice.
Well, Mr. JR, it's been a pleasure.
Right.
Do you now if before I let you go, is there if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, what's the best way for somebody to get in touch with you?
You can hit me up on my LinkedIn at JayR McIntyre, Facebook, Dr. JayR McIntyre, and Instagram, The Hood Motivator. I'm sure you will share my links on the screen and everything like that. And
Yes,
let me know, reach out to me. I got a capability statement. I would love to travel the world and speak more. My platform is huge. My audience is big. It's not just one platform. It's a lot, and I got a lot to say. I'm working on my book that's coming out next year. It's called The Dark Days of Entrepreneurship as a Combat Veteran, and it's going to just tell the story of an entrepreneurship journey from a kid to Army to after the military to failing in business and then getting back up and finding your purpose.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to have a copy of that book so I can read it. I just got do you know Rocco Vargas? Have you heard of that name?
Yeah, Rocco, he was he served around the same time I did, and he did actually he was border patrol, and he's got a book coming out too.
I just got his book actually.
Okay, yeah.
It's called Borderline, and it's an amazing read. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely would like to have a copy of your book so I can read it and just to see. Now, do you have a publisher already? I'm assuming.
I'm working with a publisher right now. Just getting everything situated and stuff. So.
Man, that's awesome.
Mhm.
So there's a podcast called I Am Pitts. Dexter Pitts is his name. He's a Louisville Metro police officer. Army veteran as well. He's also an author, and on his podcast, he brings on other authors that are veterans and let them, tell their story. I'm gonna get you guys connected,
I
and
would love that.
um, I'll get you connected with a few other of my podcast friends with Triple Threat Vets Pot.
Okay.
You've already done the Misfit Nation, so
Yeah.
I'll get you connected with these guys, and definitely. So what you'll have to do is shoot me your phone number and
Okay.
messenger later.
I
That way I
will.
can save it in my phone, and I'll text you mine as well. And
Okay.
I'll get you connected with those guys because I want to help you get your story out. And if I can help you get on Dexter's podcast and Triple Threat, I'm definitely going to help you as much as I can. So
I appreciate it. Definitely.
so yeah, what I'll do when when we wrap this up, I will go on and I'll post your links. I'll do your LinkedIn, your link tree. I'll do your Facebook as well. I'll get them all posted in there. That way, when people go to YouTube or Facebook, they can see all that information. So,
Okay.
you got anything else to say before I let you go, brother?
No, I appreciate it, and shout out to all the active duty military that's serving our country today. We need it more than ever, and stay training, stay vigilant, keep your head up, stay educated, and understand why you do what you do. And if you're still serving, make sure that you know what I'm saying, you're teaching and you're make sure that you're coaching and mentoring our young men and women that are coming in because veterans like us know a war is brewing, and we just got
Yeah.
to stay
Oh
ready.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, brother, it was a pleasure talking to you. And if you ever want to come back on and talk about your book when it's published, ready to go, shoot me a message and I'll get you back on here. We'll definitely talk about your book. And um, it was a pleasure meeting you, talking to
Definitely.
you, and
Definitely.
thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys again.
Hey,
All
you're
right,
welcome.
brother.
You have a great
Thank
night, my friend.
you. All right, sir. Thank you.
Bye. Man, how cool was that, James?
That's pretty daggone cool, actually.
Yeah. I think I got to get you and him connected. That way y'all can talk offline. And once I get his phone number, I'll hook it up with you. And I'm going to send it to the guys at Triple Threat and Dexter and all those guys. And man, he's a super cool cat, man. He reached out probably a couple months ago, and we just now finally getting to get him on the show. And uh, man, just to see what he's been through, growing up in Long Beach, California, and to where he
Absolutely.
is now, I mean, that's just, and he is right. Back then, when we joined the military, you know, like he said, from where he came from, he had two choices: go to jail, go to the military.
Yes, sir.
Me, I knew if I stayed in Barstown, if I didn't go in the military, of course, I had always said I was going in the military, but if I hadn't went military when I did, I'd probably be in jail right now.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, you know, we said it earlier in the podcast is that, it's a different generation now, compared to when we were in. Uh, it's a lot political. It's too military is a lot political nowadays.
Sure it is.
Uh, so
And that's why their numbers are dropping.
yeah, definitely.
In my opinion, that's why they can't meet quotas. They can't, you know,
Yeah. And here's
sad.
here's my thing. I don't really talk about politics at all, but you need to leave politics out of the military. You
Yep.
need to leave politics out of school. You need to leave the politics out of the police department. Anywhere there's politics that don't need to be, other than being politicians, that's where they need to stay. And it, it, man, I tell you what, I wish the military wasn't so political. Uh, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yep.
So let's take a few minutes here, and I'm going to talk about my sponsors here real quick and pay the bills per se. So up first, we got talenttalents.com. If you're in the music industry and you're looking to, get a venue or management or you name it, check out talenttalents.com. And then you got Louisville Local Entertainment. I want to thank both of these guys here. I'm going to play their video here in just a second. But Louisville Local Entertainment, he kind of does the same thing as talenttalent.com. They're partnered together. Check them out. Rick is a veteran. Chris is not a veteran, but his family was veterans. military personnel. And what they do is just simply amazing. So here are the videos.
Owner of Talon Talents here, and I just want to say that we are ecstatic to be a major sponsor of HomeFront Siterep, a community that is ran by veterans and made for veterans. So thank you for tuning in. Talon Talents was formed in order to create a music scene that was together in the form of a collective, so that no one has to do everything on their own. And guess what? We've been doing this for free for over a year. So please go and check out Talon Talents through Facebook or through our official website at www.talontalents.com. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you again for tuning in to HomeFront Siterep, a veteran-owned and operated podcast.
My name's Rick Ames. I own Louisville Local Entertainment, a company for music shows, promotions, and bookings in the Louisville music scene. As a veteran, it's my honor to support and sponsor local veteran-owned businesses such as HomeFront Siterep, made by veterans for veterans. So if you're in the music business and need some help booking or promoting a show for free, look me up, Louisville Local Entertainment. And thanks for tuning in to HomeFront Siterep.
And we're back. Yeah, so check out talenttalents.com. You can go to their Facebook page as well. And then Louisville Local Entertainment, you can go to their Facebook page and reach out to them. If you're in the Louisville area and you're a band, you want to get your show promoted, reach out to Louisville Local Entertainment. Rick Ames there. Nationwide, you can reach out to talenttalents.com. They book bands from all over the country, all kinds of things. Simply amazing what those guys do. So check those out. James, my brother, are you ready for the holidays? I know this time of year is hard on you.
I'm ready for them to be over. Does that count?
Yeah, I mean it counts, brother. It does. I know. Last couple of days you've been a little bit down in the dumps, man, and I know we've talked, almost every day. There might have been a day or two there we missed a call, but I got your back. I got
I
your
know, and I
six.
appreciate that, brother. I'm all right. It just, it happens. It happens to the best of us. We just deal with it.
Yeah. We just deal with it and move on and rock and roll as best as we can, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
So, all right, guys. Well, it's been a fun show. Check out JayR McIntyre. You can go on LinkedIn, find him as JayR McIntyre. You can go to Facebook, Dr. JayR McIntyre on Facebook. I will post his links in the comments, and then I will post them wherever in the show notes on Amazon, Spotify, all that good stuff. So. But like James and I always say, stay safe out there, and we got your six.
Take care.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find HomeFront Siterep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your six.